Hello and welcome to a quick lesson on the quadratic formula. So what the quadratic formula is another method of solving a quadratic equation. And if you recall, a quadratic equation looks like this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And when we say we're going to solve this, that means tell me what x equals. So one of the ways that we can do this, other than factoring or completing the square, is we can use a formula. And that formula is right here. And so I know this looks like a horrible formula, but really it's not so bad. So what I'm going to do is go through an example and show you how this particular formula works. So the first thing that I want to do is take a look at the equation we have here: x squared minus 8 equals 2x. Well, we need to have 0 on one side. So what I'm going to do is subtract 2x from both sides. And I'm going to put this in standard form on the left-hand side, which means the 2x goes in the middle. So I have x squared minus 2x minus 8 equals 0. All right, so everything is in the exact same order as you see it up here in our formula box. And so what I next want to do is, since the whole formula uses A's, B's, and C's, let's identify what A, B, and C are. So A is the number in front of x squared, and you don't see anything here in front of x squared, so our A is going to be 1, because 1 is what's there if you don't see anything. Now take a look at the x term, the bx term. What is the b value? In this case, the b is -2, and the c value is the number all by itself, and that is -8. And so what we're going to do is put this a, b, and c value into our formula, just as is shown in the box. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write x equals. Now the first thing I have is -b. Well, my b is -2. So -2 is just +2. And then I have that wonderful plus minus sign, which tells me I'm going to have to calculate this twice. Then I have the square root. And in here I have b squared. So what I want you to do, since b is -2, let's put it in parentheses, and then we'll write squared. And then -4 times a times c. And let's put a and c in parentheses. So we're going to put a 1 here, and then our c is -8, and we're going to put that in parentheses too. And we're going to put our fraction bar, and underneath 2a. So 2 times a, which is 1. So the first thing that I'm going to want to do here, and hang on a sec because I'm going to change to a little highlighter here, is I want to take this, and I'm going to put this into my calculator exactly as you see it here. I'm not going to put the square root. I'm just going to put parenthesis -2 parenthesis squared minus 4 parenthesis 1 parenthesis parenthesis -8 parenthesis. And let's see what we're going to get. Now, if you followed along and did this in your calculator, you'd find that you get 36. So when we simplify this, whoops, I don't want to have a highlighter on here. We're going to get 2 plus or minus the square root of 36 over 2 times 1, which is 2. And now I happen to know what the square root of 36 is. If you don't know, put it in your calculator to find it. If you get a decimal, round to 2 decimal places. But I happen to know that the square root of 36 is 6. So this is going to give me 2 plus or minus 6 all over 2. Now what this means is I'm going to have to calculate this twice. So once with the plus and once with the minus. So I'm going to get x equals 2 plus 6 over 2, which is 8 over 2, which is 4. And I'm going to get 2 minus 6 over 2, which is -4 over 2, which is negative 2. And you can then see that my two answers are going to be the 4 and the negative 2. Okay, let's go through one more example together. So the example that I've written here for you on this slide is actually number 17 from your homework. 5x squared plus 12x minus 2 equals 0. And remember our steps. The first thing we want to find is A, B, and C. A is the number in front of x squared, which is 5. B is the number in front of x, which is 12. And C is the number by itself, which is negative 2. So now we're going to put these into our formula. I had pizza for dinner, so I'm sorry I keep putting it in my throat. So x equals negative b is going to be negative 12, plus or minus the square root of b squared is going to be 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 5, times c, which is negative 2. Now, I put a fraction bar under all of this, and then I have 2 times a, which is 5. And so the next thing I want to do is I want to put just this part into my calculator, and I'm going to get an answer for that. All right, and I got 184. So here's what we have. Whoops, I did it again. Use the highlighter. All right, so I'm going to have negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 184 all over 2 times 5, which is 10. And this is a really important example because I want you to see what's going to happen here when you have to start putting things in your calculator. So first of all, we're going to need the square root of 184. Okay, as a decimal, this is 13.56. So here's what I've got. Negative 12 plus or minus 13.56 divided by 10. So when we put this in our calculator, we're going to have to do this twice. So negative 12 plus 13.56 over 10. So what you're going to need to do first is just the numerator. So this is going to be 1.56 divided by 10, and I want 2 decimal places. So this will end up being 0.16. So there's one of my answers. Now my next answer, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to do minus out of the plus minus. So this is negative 12 minus 13.56 over 10 equals negative 25.56. And that's going to be divided by 10, negative 2.56. And you can see that this will be one of your answers, and this will be the other of your answers.